Hello and welcome to the Post to Post podcast. It is podcast number 60. My name is Neil. I'm joined here with Brent.
How you doing? I'm Brent.
This is a milestone episode, number 60.
All right.
Yeah, we've done more episodes than years you've been alive now, so we're coming along. Just straight up, this is probably going to be a shorter podcast than normal. We filmed 7 videos earlier, I believe, and time is an issue today, so we're going to try and keep this one a little bit shorter than normal. Some people will be pleased about that, some people won't be. But just quickly, the 7 videos were about the Paul Byron suspension, the Johansson suspension, the World Cup announcement, the Tuukka Rask potential concussion. We ranked some Denmark logos. We did the jersey giveaway video. We did some floorball logo videos on the second channel, SSL, and the Sally Bandy, I believe it's called, league.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So we filmed all those. I still have 2 hockey card videos to edit and release as well. And so yeah, majority of the morning was spent doing those, and now we're just going to kind of rip through this podcast a little quicker than normal. We're obviously going to go over the games from last night, the Saturday games, talk a little bit about the Sunday games today, and I've got one more topic after that to discuss. And that's probably going to be it for me for this podcast. But if it's okay with you, I'd like to start with the games from last night.
Sounds good to me.
So we'll start on as they happened. The Anaheim-New Jersey game came first. Anaheim won 3-2. And Terry got his first NHL goal in that game. Did you see that one?
Which one was that?
Troy Terry got his first goal.
I think I did, yes.
He was lighting it up in the AHL, so they called him up.
Yeah.
A little more life for the team. And yeah, he got his first goal. Now, did you see the shot total in this game? Were you watching this game at all?
I saw pieces, but I did not watch it all.
So it was about midway through the third. The game was almost over. Anaheim had 12 shots. They were leading 3-2. I think at that point 3-1, but they only had 12 shots.
On Blackwood of all people, who has been yeah, he's been playing well.
I don't remember, there's been some low shot totals in games, but I don't remember the last time I saw one in low teens. Not even teens, it was 12. So,
well, the Flyers were headed that way last night, but we'll get to that game.
Yeah. Goodness. Anyways, that's actually a pretty big win for Anaheim. They're 2 in a row now after that absolutely crazy, almost 12-game losing streak, I think it was. So, good to see them get 2 in the W column.
Mm-hmm. Do you know who else scored in that game? For Anaheim?
Sprong.
Yeah, Daniel Sprong. And we've watched him from here because he had his junior career was right here in our community.
That trade still doesn't make sense to me.
No. Pittsburgh had him, and they didn't make great use of him, in my view, and then they shipped him away before they saw his full potential. So good for Anaheim to have him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Sorry, just going to check the time. Okay. The next game was the Colorado and the L.A. game. Now, this was, to be honest, I predicted L.A. to win this game, I believe, if I remember correctly. I really thought that LA was going to hand it to Colorado because Colorado's been struggling a little bit. They've been pretty inconsistent, lost a lot of games recently, but they looked so good last night.
Did they ever?
They won 7-1. Terrible defensive game by LA. That was probably one of the worst defensive games I've seen by any team this season, and probably last season as well. It was just god-awful, and Quick wasn't that great either. There was just so much standing still by the LA defenders that it was, you can't, that Colorado top line, you can't give them any space.
No.
And they gave them all kinds of space, and they took advantage of it, and that's why it was 7-1. It was just crazy. It
was crazy, and the one goal, when L.A. finally scored, they had to call it back because it was kicked in, and they had to get another goal later to break the shutout when Kovalchuk finally scored, but it was too late, way too late.
And it was a 5-on-3. It took them a 5-on-3 to score a goal. So yeah.
Terrible, yeah.
The game after that was the St. Louis and Ottawa game. St. Louis won 3-2, so St. Louis starting to play a little bit better, starting to get more consistent goaltending. Bennington was great. Anderson was great too, but I thought the really impressive stat in this game was the St. Louis face-off stat. St. Louis isn't a great face-off team, but they're 54% in the dot last night. So
that's good.
That's definitely a step in the right direction for St. Louis. And yeah, Bennington was great again. So good news there.
There was some really pretty goal, the last one that St. Louis scored, actually, and it was the one to go ahead, because Ottawa had actually tied the game 2-2 with a shorthanded goal early in the third, and it was somewhat in dispute how the game would go at that point. But DeMello had this, it looked like it was a set play. It was a long clear, and it went in and bounced. And Payarvi got it, and DeMello made the long clear, and it ended up bouncing off a skate, but still counted, and it went in.
It was Broussard's skate.
Yeah, but it really looked like a set
It did.
play. And
yeah.
a lot of teams are starting to do that now. Even when they're not killing a penalty, they'll pound that puck deep as if it's going to be an icing, but they have one guy, a speedy guy, who's down in there and beats the icing out. Next thing you know, they got a play in there.
Yeah, I've seen Nashville do that a couple times. I've seen Calgary do that a couple times.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
If you can execute it properly, it's a good play.
Yeah.
The game after that was the Dallas-Winnipeg game. Dallas won 4-2, and Dallas almost blew that 3-0 lead there. They got up quick in that game, up 3-0 on a pretty good team, Winnipeg, but then Winnipeg bounced back and scored 2 goals very quickly. And there was just a lot of weird bouncy goals in that game. Like that last goal that Dallas scored, it was a tip by Seguin, I believe, in front of the net, and it hit the ice, and it bounced up, and then it came back down, hit the ice, and it bounced back up and went off the goalie. There's just a lot of weird deflections in that game.
Sometimes you just don't get the bounces.
Yeah, it happens to every team.
Yeah, and Dallas was 2 for 7 on the power play. I think any team would like to have that stat.
Yeah, really.
And Winnipeg had a couple of power plays, but didn't do anything with them.
Winnipeg's been like so inconsistent lately. Like they're pretty much the same team they were last year.
Yeah.
Without the extreme consistent goaltending, and I tweeted yesterday about Montreal. I said Montreal beats the teams that they shouldn't and loses against teams that they should
always
beat. I think Winnipeg's kind of in that ballpark as well this year. They play so well sometimes against incredible teams, and then they'll play a random bottom feeder team and then lose. It just not that Dallas is a bottom feeder team. They're in the mid pack. They're on that playoff in or out section there. So.
Yeah, they're in the bubble area.
But still, I would have predicted that Winnipeg would win that game. But
yeah,
anyway.
You mentioned this yesterday when we were peeking in on the game. Or you had showed it to me that Dallas wore a cool practice jersey.
Yes, I was going to mention this and I forgot. They wore the just for the warm-ups. They wore Adidas not practice jerseys, warm-up jerseys to pay homage to the
Texas
Rangers.
Yeah,
Rangers. I was going to say the Texans, but no.
Don't go there again.
No. Yeah, they were pretty cool. I really like them because it kind of plays into the video that we did on the second channel about if MLB teams were hockey teams, what would their jerseys look like? So,
yeah,
I'd be cool to see more teams do that.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The next game, a very important game, the Rangers versus Boston. The Rangers won 3-2, and the Rangers have now won 3 in a row. Lundqvist with a milestone win for that game, and now I already mentioned this at the beginning of the podcast. We've made a video discussing the Tuukka Rask concussion. You haven't seen it yet. You'll see it soon. So we're not going to comment on it a lot in this video just because I want people to watch that other video. But we're aware of it. We've seen it. We're going to talk about it. But that wasn't an important win for the Rangers. It was, but it was a devastating loss for Boston.
That's right.
More so.
That's right.
Those should have been easy points for Boston.
Mm-hmm.
It sucks what happened to Tuukka Rask. They still couldn't get it done. So that was actually a huge loss for Boston. And
in the video that we'll be showing in parallel at some point, I wondered if this happened in the second period when Halak came in after Rask was hurt. It actually was very late in the first.
In the first, yeah.
And then afterwards, Halak was in. He only faced 13 shots for the rest of the game and let in 2 goals.
Yeah, he's been pretty good this year. But
he has been, but he was cold coming in.
He wasn't mentally prepared to play that game. So maybe that's it.
Could be. Because he had time. Like, New York didn't really put their foot on the gas and get away until Halak had lots of time to get into the game.
Yep.
Like, a whole second period went by. There was Zibanejad had scored, making it 2-1. And it wasn't that bad at that point. But then the Rangers, after Boston had actually tied the game with Marchand's goal, Zibanejad scored again the power play, and that did put it away. But Halak had time by then to get in the rhythm,
sure. Yeah.
And he still didn't. That's the first time they've met this season, by the way.
Really?
It is. They play 4 games, but all of them start now. So this is game 1 of a series of 4.
That's strange because there's certain teams who face teams 4 times a year in divisions and have already played all 4 games. It's weird.
It's very strange.
Works.
Yeah.
The game after that was one that we watched the most of, the Philadelphia versus Montreal game. Philadelphia won to 5-2. Niemi was not great. So many giveaways in classic Montreal form. Drouin was the culprit behind about 80% of them. I'm not going to be a broken record, and we're not going to talk about this every single week, but we're tired of it. So.
And it's he has flashes of brilliance in the offensive zone. He's often very weak defensively. Occasionally he'll be strong in his own zone. Occasionally, so he's capable. It's just a matter of consistency.
Yeah.
Now Montreal's a tired team. They came out pretty strong in the first period, and frankly, I think that Montreal could have had a 2 or 3 goal lead in the first had the bounces gone the right way. Carter Hart was outstanding, and Montreal couldn't get anything by him. And then by the second period, middle of the second, Montreal really started to run out of gas. This was the 8th game in 13 days. It was the 4th game in 6 days.
Yeah.
And they were just running out of gas. And that's not an excuse, it's a reason. Because in the past, and I've said this to you, Montreal has played teams that were coming off of a back-to-back the night before where Montreal's waiting for them.
Yep.
And I think the last 3 times that's happened, Montreal's won those games and beaten up on those teams. Or at least 2 of the 3 times they did that. So I don't think it's fair when Montreal gets an advantage because of that, and I also don't think it's necessarily fair when the NHL schedule is such that you play so many back-to-back games. That's the 3rd set of double games Montreal played in the last 13 days, and that's just crazy.
But they did come out flying in that first period. The shots were 14-1 at one point. So it's maybe they just tired themselves out too much in the first period or something.
I think that's what it was, and someone said, I think it was in The Athletic, Arpan Basu had written, I don't watch The Simpsons, but apparently there's an episode where Homer Simpson is fighting some boxer, and he does the rope-a-dope thing like Ali would have done back in the 70s against Frazier, and you basically don't even fight for a while and let the other guy tire himself out, and then you clean him up, finish him off. And I think that's kind of what happened last night.
Yeah, maybe,
I think Montreal came out, threw everything they had at Carter Hart and the Flyers, and the Flyers bent, but they didn't break. And then by the time Montreal got out of gas, Philadelphia just owned the game.
Yeah, Carter Hart was really, really good last night.
He really was, yeah. And, it was Max Domi bobblehead night. Would have been a good night to win.
I guess.
Domi actually had a good game because he's been in quite a slump until the last 3 or 4 games ago, and then he caught his wind again. But it was Max Domi bobblehead night. Have to say again, Don Cherry, we talked about him before where he can't say some names. He did it again last night. He called Roberto Luongo during Coach's Corner. Marc Bergevin has been the GM of Montreal since 2012, I believe. But Don Cherry called him Bergeron. And then Craig Simpson, who's the color guy, who was working with, I think was it Jim Houston was calling the game? Craig, he called him Bergeron too. It's Bergevin.
Oops.
Guys, this is your life. You get paid to do this. Get these names right. We're just idiots on YouTube. Come on.
That's right.
Like we even try to pronounce. I go ahead of time and try to find ways to properly pronounce Finnish and Swedish and other players so I don't screw it up too many times. But guys, you're getting paid a lot of money to pronounce a hockey player's name. Do it. Or even a general manager who's a Canadian, a French-Canadian, Bergevin. Do it.
We made the comment in last night's game about Joel Armia, is how the North Americans pronounce it. But Jim Houston decided to say his first name correctly, Yoel, but still said his last name, Armia. So it was Yoel Armia, but his last name is actually pronounced Armia. So it's Yoel Armia. So if you're going to pronounce the first name right, then why not pronounce the last name right?
That's right. If you're going to get it right, get it all right. Or just get it all wrong and forget it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't matter, then don't worry about it. Just pronounce it wrong. Apparently it doesn't bother you when it's Bergevin. Or Luongo.
Now, if Montreal had won that game, you know what would have happened?
They'd be up here.
They would have been up here. They would have been, I believe, right behind Vegas here.
I would have been able to reach up and touch them.
Yeah.
But no. Don't give me that.
Now they have like 10 days off. They got 1 game in 10 days, I think. So the chances of them getting up there in the next 3 weeks are pretty minuscule. Now that all those teams behind them can have a chance to catch up.
And use up those games at hand.
Yeah.
There's about 4 or 5 teams in the league that have played the maximum number of games right now, and that's 50, and Montreal is one of them.
Yeah.
Nashville's another, and there's a few others in the West. Montreal, I think, is the only team in the East that has played 50 games. So all these other teams are now going to start burning up their games in hand, and they're going to go past Montreal in the standings, which is the way it works. That's fine. I have a funny feeling, though, that even after 10 days, Montreal may still be in the picture, although barely.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Because Boston, that's a team that really could have used its game in hand last night.
Oh, yeah.
And
Big time.
Pooped in the bed.
Pooped heavy. It was a heavy poop.
Pooped heavy, yeah. So.
The next game, the Tampa Bay Lightning and the San Jose Sharks game, Tampa Bay won 6-3. Did you think Jones looked tired in that game?
Well, I couldn't tell because he had a mask on.
No, but his lateral movement was so slow.
I didn't pay that much attention.
He really hasn't been that great this year. I thought he looked really tired last night. Vasilevsky was great, 36 saves. Did you see at the end of the game how he reacted? He looked pissed, and I don't know why.
Well, Sorensen scored on him with like seconds to go. Maybe
it's 6-3. Who cares? It was already 6-2. It's not like he's
but if it was 6-2, you're probably your goals against average is going to improve a little bit after that game. But if it's 6-3, it's not. It's gonna worsen. It could be something as simple as that.
I guess.
I don't know.
He had 36 saves. I mean, it's not like he only had 15 saves and let in 3 goals. I mean, that's a lot of saves already. 36. Yeah. So
he's a perfectionist. He wants the best out of himself.
I guess.
And the guys in front of him.
Yeah, I know. But
he's used to getting it.
I thought that maybe someone had hit him or something like that. I didn't see it, but he looked pissed. He was almost ignoring his own players when they came to congratulate him. So, yeah, it was strange. If anyone knows, let me know down in the comments.
Yeah, I didn't really notice that. So
the game after that was the Florida-Nashville game. Florida won 4-2. It was their 800th franchise win.
I saw that.
Saros was meh. Yeah, he let in some meh goals. I thought Reimer was great, 37 saves. Florida was 58% in the faceoff dot against Nashville, one of the strongest teams right up the middle, right behind Philadelphia. Like Nashville's always been a really great faceoff team in the past 3 or 4 years, and Florida wiped the bed with them last night, 58%.
Did you see that weird save that Reimer made? There was a delayed penalty. He was on his way to the bench for the 6th attacker. He was halfway to the blue line, and one of his own guys had passed the puck back to start up a rush, and Reimer saw it going, and he dove back and stopped it. So it was a save.
Was weird.
He was a long way from the crease, but it was. I don't know if you count that as a save or not. You should. It was really good.
Is it a save if your own player shoots at your net?
Well, it would have been a shot on goal if it had gone in, I think. And
do they count that as a shot on goal?
I think they have to. I think a shot on goal is anything that would score but for the goalie being there.
I guess, because Laine scored in his net 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah, it would have to be a shot.
And that would have to be a shot.
And it would be credited to the last opposing player that had touched it, I guess. I don't know. It's an interesting exercise.
Yeah, I don't know. I
have to run that by the GMs at their next meeting.
That's
see what
right.
they think of that.
Yeah. Anyways,
that was cool.
That was a pretty poor loss for Nashville. They could have used those 2 points because they would have been, I believe, above Vegas potentially or just behind them.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Anyways, Minnesota and Columbus was the game after that. Minnesota won 2-1. I thought Minnesota played an absolutely fantastic defensive game, 66% in the faceoff circle, only allowed 20 shots. They really kept Columbus to the outside of the net. Not a lot of net presence by Columbus. I just thought Minnesota just did a fantastic defensive job, and that's the style of hockey that they're really good at. So,
and that's a great way to cap off what was yesterday, Hockey Day in Minnesota.
Yeah, Minnesota.
Yeah, Bemidji was the home base of Hockey Day this year, and it was cold. I mean, it's cold here.
Yeah.
But this is a place where it's not usually as cold as Minnesota, but Minnesota was really cold.
Montreal was cold last night, too.
Yeah.
It's like minus 37 or something like that.
That'd be wind chill. But
well, whatever.
It's fake. Wind chill is fake.
It's not fake.
It is fake. It should be just the temperature, and obviously it's windy, but it's the same damn temperature. The wind doesn't make the temperature colder.
No, but it feels like.
Feels like.
Okay, hold on. If you go outside and it's minus 10, you can stay out there for 5 minutes.
Right.
I'll say. You come back inside, you're cold. If it's minus 10, but it feels like minus 30 because of the wind, you go out there for 5 minutes and come back inside, you are significantly colder.
I don't doubt that.
It takes you probably 4 or 5 times longer to warm up than it did at just minus 10.
That's fine. Just don't put a number on it. Just don't give us a fake number.
It's not fake. You have to calculate it somehow.
How do you do it?
By the wind. By the wind speed.
You just add the wind speed to the temperature.
That's why it's called feels like temperature.
It's like the stupid Humidex. Yeah, it's going to be plus 30 today. It's going to feel like plus 45.
Exactly.
Like, Why? It's plus 30. That's hot already.
No, but
it's hot.
97% of people don't care what the actual temperature is. They care what the feels like temperature is.
Well, they need to educate themselves. They need to smarten up.
It's not about education.
97% of people are dumb.
You don't. Well, I won't argue with that.
It's a real number. Come on. Use the real number.
But people don't care. You go outside, you feel a temperature. They don't care what the actual temperature is. They care about what they feel. And what they feel is minus 30 because of the wind chill, then it's minus 30.
I'm tired of people talking about their feelings.
Well, holy. Anyways, where were we?
I don't know.
Minnesota won. Congratulations.
Good for Minnesota. Well done.
The game after that was the Vegas Golden Knights-Pittsburgh game. Pretty important game because Marc-Andre Fleury gets to play his old team.
Oh, yeah.
Vegas won 7-3. Pretty even game stat-wise. If you looked at the stat sheet, it was like face-offs, body checks, like everything was pretty even along the whole stat sheet.
And even the game was pretty even into the second period.
Oh, yeah, it was like 3-3.
It was 3-1 going in for Vegas into the second. Pittsburgh scored actually 3 goals, and they only got credit for 2 of them. One was called back.
Yeah, Malkin's kicked it in.
Yeah. So, but they actually tied the game. It was 3-3 for quite a while before Vegas scored 2 late ones in the third, and then 2 more in the second, and 2 more in the third.
It's a really exciting game to watch.
Yeah. And how do you feel though if you're Vegas and you're Nathan Schmidt or you're Cody Eakin and your team's just blown out recent Stanley Cup champion 7-3, yet you're both sitting there at a -1?
Yeah, I
don't know. You're not on the ice for anything. Well, you might be on the ice for one good thing.
Some of those guys don't get a lot of offensive opportunities, though, so they may only be on the ice for defensive matchups. And so.
Anyway,
I understand what you're saying, though.
But when you see an overwhelming victory like that, and there's guys on the roster that are minus anything, it's like, what happened there?
Well, it's like when I think Kucherov. It was like 3 or 4 weeks ago. He had 11 points in 3 games or something, and he was a +1.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's right.
Like, what?
That's a good stat.
The last game of the night was the Calgary-Edmonton game. Calgary won 5-2. Did you see the Koskinen save?
I did.
That was amazing.
I did. He was. It's a shame he couldn't come away with a win.
I know.
With that kind of performance, he made a few dandy.
He really did.
Saves.
Yeah,
he was fantastic. But it wasn't the game that Calgary Edmonton usually is. A Battle of Alberta. You want elbows. You want some knuckle chucking. You want some real hate. I didn't feel any hate.
No, I was disappointed.
Yeah.
Did you see the second goal by Calgary?
That would be kind of Giordano's goal.
It was kind of a broken giveaway play by Edmonton. Then it landed in front of the net. The goalie made the initial save, went down, and the 4 Edmonton players were literally just standing there with their sticks down, like doing nothing. And then the Calgary player was in between all 4 of them, like right in the middle, and then scored. It was just a complete lack of effort by Edmonton in that goal. It was just absolutely pathetic. I thought I was watching the Montreal Canadiens.
Calgary's 4th goal was weird, too, because there was Caleb Jones had the puck, and he passed it back, intending to hit Larson with the pass, but Michael Backlund was right there.
Yeah.
Got the puck, walked in, and scored.
That was weird, yeah.
It's like, what the heck was that? I had to watch it about 3 times to figure out, like, how could that play develop like that?
I know.
And it did. It was like, did you guys just trade for Drouin? Did you get Drouin on your team?
Because Calgary just had the puck.
Yeah.
And it was Gaudreau that went to go, I think, backhanded up the ice, but he kind of fanned on it and didn't get as far. So Calgary actually gave the puck away there. But they got it back and scored. Like, it just, like, what?
Like, on those nights, you're just not going to win the game, guys. But, doesn't matter how hard you try, it's not going to happen.
Johnny Gaudreau, Monahan, and Giordano, I thought all had a really, really strong game. And it is a shame that Koskinen couldn't get that win because he did play good.
Yeah, Lucic's goal, Edmonton's second goal in the power play in the third. That was a nice touch on that.
It was, yeah. Do you know he scored 4 goals in the last 6 games, I think?
I didn't know that.
Do you know how many games it took to score his last 4 goals previous to these 4 goals?
I don't know.
93 games.
Oh, my God. Back to the New Jersey-Anaheim game, the first one you mentioned.
Okay.
You asked me if I'd watched it, and I said I didn't. But I actually remember now that I had fast-forwarded through, because I did record it.
Okay.
And I came across a fight. I don't know if you knew about the fight, but Manson and Bastian went at it.
I didn't see that. I'm subscribed to a YouTube channel that posts all the fight. Sometimes they're delayed by a couple of days.
This was a pretty good one.
Yeah?
This was a pretty good one. And Bastian was given quite a bit of credit for going up against Manson because he's quite a heavy hitter.
All right.
And it was pretty even. And I think Bastian ended up on top at the end, more of a wrestling thing at the end. But they were chucking some good ones. So
I'll go
I
check
want to have
out.
a look for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Today's games, do you plan on watching any of them?
I'm going to tape the Washington-Chicago game. It's on NBC. So I'm going to PVR that.
Yep.
I'll probably also PVR the Toronto game.
I was going to say that's probably the game I'm going to watch.
Yeah, I won't be up late enough to watch Carolina-Edmonton, even though we're having a cranking storm here right now, and there's probably a 50-50 chance that work will be canceled tomorrow. I don't want to risk it because if I stay up late, work will not be canceled.
Yeah.
But if I go to sleep early, work will be canceled. So
Just the way it goes.
yeah, and I have a laptop at home. I can log in from home if it is canceled. I'm still working, so I don't really gain
That's right.
anything if work is canceled. So I still have to get up early and be prepared to go to work or do work from home. So I won't be watching that game, but I'll probably PVR it if I can find it.
All right.
But those are the two I'm interested in. I'm interested in all the games. Anaheim Islanders I'm very interested in.
Yes, me too.
Because the Islanders are fighting with Montreal for a spot. Or will be. The Islanders are temporarily, I think, in the top of the Metro, but I don't think that'll last. But Anaheim's in there now. Anaheim's a little tired. They played last night, so we'll see. But anyway, back to your list. Go ahead.
No, first game, who do you predict? Washington, Chicago?
I think Washington is strong, and they will go into Chicago and win this game.
I agree.
I think so.
Anaheim Islanders?
I want Anaheim to win in quite a bad way, but Anaheim's tired from last night, so I think the Islanders have been sitting home waiting for them. I think they'll win.
I agree. Detroit versus Vancouver?
They're fairly close in talent. It's a tough one to call, but I give Vancouver home ice advantage on this. Detroit's on the road, probably a little tired. Neither of them played last night, but Vancouver's sitting there. Pedersen's back.
Is he?
Nice. I think. Is he?
I don't know.
I think he should be back by now. He was skating. I don't know if he was taking contact, but he was skating. I saw some pictures 2 days ago, some video. Sorry, I'm old. I saw some video of him doing some skating drills, and he looked really stout.
Okay.
He looked really good. There's no favoring of his knee or anything. He was cranking, so I think he's probably ready to go. So hopefully he'll be in the lineup tonight, and if he is, I think that's even more so. I'm picking Vancouver.
I am also picking Vancouver. Arizona and Toronto?
Again, I want Arizona to win, but I think Toronto is going to win this game.
I think Toronto's going to win this game as well, but I think Arizona, they might shock some people tonight. They might win. I still think Toronto's going to win.
Yeah.
Carolina, Edmonton?
And Edmonton, I think they're pissed after last night, and Edmonton has been pissed before. I think 1 or 2 weeks ago, they were on a 4 or 5 game losing streak, and they went into Anaheim, I think, and I picked them to win.
Yeah.
And you said, no. And they ended up winning. Not because I said anything about it, but I think when Edmonton needs to turn something around, as I really think they do last night, they probably had quite a dressing room discussion after the game. I think they'll come out a much different, much better team tonight.
Okay.
So I think they'll win.
Well, there's a trade this week. Niederreiter went to Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what the coach said to Niederreiter after Carolina's loss, his first game with Carolina?
No.
He apologized and said that this is not representative of what this team is about. He was very embarrassed by it. So I think that Carolina's going to come out tonight rolling.
So a coach apologized to a player.
To the new player to the team.
That's new. That's new.
That's happened.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay.
That's the only one we disagree on, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not a hockey follower like you are. So, mine are mostly rectally extracted integers, REIs.
Yeah.
And yours are more thoughtful because you actually follow this better.
Yeah, but that's the bad thing. I was like 16-35 this week in predictions. Is all the teams I thought were going to win lost. So sometimes you do overthink it.
Mm-hmm.
And by you, I mean me.
Yeah.
Now, we talked about Saturday games. We talked about Sunday games.
Mm-hmm.
Can you humor me for a bit while I talk about playoff matchups?
Sure.
A 1-16 playoff matchup scenario.
Mm-hmm.
So, if we did use that format, which I think the NHL should use, 1-16, doesn't matter how many in each conference there are, should 1-16, the best 16. So the matchup would be Tampa Bay versus Dallas, Calgary versus Colorado, Winnipeg versus Buffalo, San Jose versus Pittsburgh, Vegas Golden Knights versus Montreal,
Ooh.
Toronto versus Boston, the Islanders versus Columbus, and Nashville versus Washington. So in my scenario, I've picked winners here, and just for fun, we're going to go to the second round, okay? So I picked Tampa Bay, Calgary. I picked Tampa Bay to beat Dallas. I picked Calgary to beat Colorado. I picked Winnipeg to beat Buffalo. I've picked Pittsburgh to beat San Jose. So an upset there. I picked Vegas to beat Montreal. I picked Boston to beat Toronto because Toronto for whatever reason, has trouble with Boston.
They get the yips.
Yeah. I picked the Islanders to beat Columbus.
Yeah.
I picked Washington to beat Nashville. I think Washington can take down Nashville. So that means that Tampa Bay plays Pittsburgh, Calgary plays Boston, Winnipeg plays Washington, and the Islanders play Vegas.
Ladies and gentlemen, wouldn't that be the most awesome way to line up the playoffs?
Yes, it would.
All those fantastic matchups.
I know.
That normally you'd have to wait till the finals to see some of these teams ever
Yes.
play each other, ever in the history of time.
Yeah.
And now because we have this stupid split and the weird-ass way that they have, it's just awful.
You create new rivalries with this
Oh, yeah.
system.
Oh, yeah. Like this way here, the way they're running it now, you're guaranteed to knock really good teams out early.
Yeah.
Because they're playing other really good teams early.
Yeah.
Yeah, that way,
Stupid.
way better.
I picked Tampa to beat Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
I picked Calgary to beat Boston. I'm assuming Calgary's getting some pretty consistent goaltending here.
Okay.
I picked Washington to beat Winnipeg. Feel like they can. Winnipeg's been a little inconsistent this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked the Vegas Golden Knights to beat the Islanders. So that means Tampa Bay plays Washington. A
man.
Rematch of the conference finals from last year. And Calgary plays Vegas, which is a typical conference finals. You get an East playing an East team, and you get a West playing a West team. It's funny how that worked out.
Mm-hmm.
I've picked Tampa Bay to beat Washington. I think it's revenge time. And I've picked Calgary to beat Vegas. I think that if Calgary can get consistent goaltending, they are a true contender this year. And I think they could take down Vegas. I've got a good feeling about Calgary now. So it's my finals is Tampa Bay, Calgary, and you might say, well, you just picked the top two teams in the
That's
standings
because it
right
all
now.
works out the way it's supposed to.
I just think that it could potentially work out that way. So Tampa versus Calgary, I didn't pick a winner for the cup, but I just thought it was interesting how
it is.
that can happen.
When you went through all of your first round matchups,
Yep.
there's one matchup that actually is the matchup now under the
Toronto-Boston.
existing system. That's Toronto-Boston, yeah. The other matchups right now in the East, Tampa Bay-Pittsburgh would be the current match. Islanders-Montreal would be the current match. And Washington-Columbus
Again.
play once again. In the West, Calgary-Minnesota, Vegas-San Jose,
Oh, yeah, rematch.
Winnipeg-Dallas still.
Nice.
That's been there for a while, I think, that matchup. And Nashville and Colorado.
Rematch again.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Interesting.
It's nice to see these teams play each other again in the playoffs and stuff. Rivalries are great. But you kind of, if you're a fan of, I like when Montreal plays Boston because it's a good rivalry. But it just gets old. I want to see Montreal play a new team in the playoffs. It's just I want to see something new, right?
Yeah. And the way this goes, you will rarely see something new, the way this is.
I'm tired of seeing Pittsburgh play Columbus in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like,
Yawn.
just show me Pittsburgh, Dallas. I'll watch that all day long.
Yeah.
Show me San Jose, Florida. Sure, I'll watch that. Definitely. I want to see something new. I don't want to see Anaheim play LA or Anaheim play St. Louis or San Jose.
Oh, that'd be too much travel in the first round. You'd have teams traveling across the continent 3 or 4 times to get the first round. Too bad.
Well,
Suck it up.
That's the thing. Every single team's in the same situation.
That's right. Every team.
You agree upon it. The owners agree upon it. Toronto may end up playing Boston in the first round.
Yeah.
But Toronto may also end up playing Los Angeles in the first round. You don't know. You roll the dice.
You don't know. That's right. And it may come to pass that San Jose is playing LA in the first round, or if San Jose is playing the Islanders in the first round.
Yeah.
Let it happen. Look at football.
If Toronto plays Tampa Bay, that flight is 3.5 hours, 3 hours, something like that.
That's about it.
If Toronto plays Los Angeles, that flight is
4 maybe.
4 at the most, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, travel time really isn't that insignificant.
it's not
just
a
the
deal
time
anymore.
change thing is a real thing. So I
And
think
adjust the
it's
time
possible.
a little bit. You can play with the time.
Sure, why not?
You can have a 6 p.m. start on the West Coast if you want to.
Sure, you can do anything you want.
Anything you want.
It's the playoffs.
You got power. You're millionaires, people.
You run the show.
Yeah.
You can do it.
We're just here to whine about it, but you're there to do it.
Exactly.
Do it.
Listen.
Yeah.
All right, that's all I got.
That's all you got? I
Yeah.
got other things.
No, that's all I got. You can take over.
Oh, wow. Okay. You can have a sleep now. And
I've got about 7 hours of work to do after this. So
There was another game I watched on Saturday, and that was the Cleveland Monsters playing in Laval against the Laval Rocket. I watched it sur le Canal Français, and it was really good hockey. It really is. This is the American Hockey League, so one step below the NHL, but a lot of the players on the teams are players' names you've heard before. Of course, we watch a lot of Montreal, so we've, Lernout is on the team, Xavier Ouellette, and guys like that are playing for Laval. It ended up being a tie after regulation, and nothing was resolved in overtime. So they ended up having a shootout. Cleveland won the shootout, but they had to go extra rounds to do it. It was really quite a good game. I was quite impressed with that. Now, Montreal, or the Montreal organization, has a new goalie playing.
Okay.
Connor Lacouvé. Ever heard of Connor Lacouvé?
No.
Well, he's playing very, very well. Since he came over to the Rocket until last night's game, he was 4-0 since joining the team.
Well, they would have
McNevin.
Charlie Lindgren.
Lindgren, yeah.
And McNevin.
And Lindgren, I think, he's still
injured?
hurt. Yeah. So, bang. Look at that. And now he has an overtime loss or a shootout loss last night, but he's got 9 out of a possible 10 points. He went into the game with a 2.18 average. His goals per game, or his save percentage, was .911. Not bad at all. I don't know where he came from, but McNevin was the backup in the game last night, and Lacouvé played really, really well.
I have not checked the AHL standings in a couple of months. Do you know where these teams are?
Sixth. Montreal is sixth. I'm not sure where Cleveland is, but the San Jose Barracudas are not walking away. They've got a 4-point lead in the West, and in the East, the Charlotte Checkers are 13 points ahead of the second-place team with 64 points. I don't know where the rest all shake out.
Yeah, who's BRI?
BRI? Or East or West?
Atlantic. Is that the Ottawa team?
No, that'd be the Binghamton Senators.
Right. Who the hell's BRI?
I don't know. We should know.
I know, right? I don't know these abbreviations. I don't watch a lot of AHL. In fact, I don't watch any AHL.
The AHL was reorganized a couple of times since we last followed it closely. When we had an AHL team in Fredericton, we had the Albany River Rats and all that, and that's what we're used to. And then the AHL became a coast-to-coast league. It was only in the Atlantic for a long time. And the out west, they had other leagues. Now the AHL has grown out there, so it's kind of hard to follow.
Bridgeport,
okay. Makes sense.
Yeah. Cleveland and Laval both have 43 points. Yeah, wow, Charlotte, 64 points.
It's crazy.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
They are the Tampa Bay Lightning of...
Yeah, they are.
Of the AHL right now.
Yeah, they're doing well.
All right.
I've taken a look at some other leagues as well. Every so often we'll pop on over to across the Atlantic Ocean and see how things are going over there. Cardiff is way ahead in the EIHL. They have 60 points right now on 37 games played. Belfast is in second place with 53 points. And while we are taping, recording, filming this right now, those two teams are playing each other.
Oh, cool.
And Manchester, I got to talk about Manchester for a minute. They're in 7th place out of the top 8, which doesn't sound great, but they're on a at least 5 game winning streak. Their form right now is currently, they've won the last 5 games, as has Cardiff. So Manchester's on fire. They're doing well in the EIHL. The top 4 scorers in the league are all Canadians. I'm sure you're not shocked by that. In the Czech Extraliga, Třinec is at the top of the standings.
Okay.
And they're playing Pilsen today. Rungsted is leading in Denmark. In the Liga in Finland, Karpat is got 94 points, and Tappara and TPS Turku are next 20 points behind at 74 points.
Holy.
So Karpat is rolling away with that. In Germany, in the DEL, Adler Mannheim, 91 points, and they're also on a 5-game winning streak, and they're 10 points ahead of Munich. Munich was in the Champions League, by the way, and I have a little Champions League news to tell you about.
Okay.
In Norway, in the Gatligaen, Stavanger is up 1 point over Vålerenga and Storhamar, 78 and 77 points respectively. Russia in the KHL, CSKA Moscow, 5 points up, and everybody else with 86.
So that's
in the West.
That's been a pretty consistent trend in the KHL for a bit.
And in the East, the leading team is Ekaterinburg.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they have 79 points, and the next closest team has only 71. So they've got a good margin there. Slovakia, the Chip Sport Liga, Zvolen has got 95 points, and they're 2 ahead of the next team. And the SHL, Luleå, is 62 points, 3 up on a tie between Färjestad and Frölunda, who are back at 59. In the Champions League, remember when we last talked about it, it was going to be Red Bull Munich against Red Bull Salzburg.
Yes.
And they play a home-and-home series, like 1 game in each town, and then they do an aggregate score. The first game in Munich, scoreless tie.
Okay.
The second game was, I think, Wednesday, just passed. And it was scoreless for a while, but then the thing started to open up, and Munich won the game, and they played it in Salzburg, and Munich won the game and move on now to play Frölunda for the Champions.
Ah.
And the first game is February 5th. They don't decide these things quickly because they have to fit it in with the rest of the schedule.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so Red Bull finally has a team in the final.
Do they play 1 game or a series?
Two games.
2 games?
1 game in each town, and they do an aggregate score. Now, I'm not sure, maybe someone can comment on how it works in Champions League hockey, but in soccer and some of the other sports, it's the aggregate score, but goals you score away are worth more than goals you score at home.
Why they got to make it so complicated?
Well, it's not that complicated because let's say...
just play 3 games.
Yeah, but no.
Just play 3 games.
But you can decide it this way. An away goal is worth more. So if it's a 1-1 tie, the road team wins.
That's dumb. Who cares who is the away and who's the home team? Don't play it at home and away. Play in a third-party city or an arena, whatever,
yeah,
and
go with
whatever country you want. I don't care. And play 3 games over a 4-day weekend or something like that. Get her done. Don't do friggin' tiebreakers and
Don't
stuff.
get all upset, man.
I'm pissed off. Who runs that? I need to make a call.
Yeah, get on the blower. Get on the blower. Yeah, well, that was fun. Anyway, so that's what's happening in the rest of the world of hockey. I don't think they're playing hockey in Australia right now. I think it's summertime there. So yeah, so I don't think we've forgotten Australia. I just don't think anything's going on.
Yeah, nothing hockey related going on anyway.
Well, yeah, probably
sure
probably lots going on in Australia.
Oh, that accent.
Yeah, that's terrible.
All right,
awful, just awful.
There's a guy at work who does a terrible Australian accent. He thinks it's really good, so you're one up on him. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Sorry this is so... What?
I was going to tell you something interesting.
Oh, tell me.
But it's not to do with hockey. Nothing to do with hockey at all.
Oh, well, let's go.
I did some family tree research, and I found something very interesting.
Great.
There's a tiny little hockey component to this, maybe.
All right.
Your 6th great-grandfather was a guy by the name of Alexander MacDonald.
Okay.
Okay. He was born in 1727 in Scotland. He joined the British Army and was deployed to the Americas and fought in several battles with British troops before the American Revolution.
Okay.
When everybody was all on the same side. All right. He fought basically in the same army as George Washington would have fought, although I don't think they crossed any paths, especially later on, because George Washington was at a battle. In fact, it was one of the trivia questions you asked me on the other channel a couple of months ago. I was talking about what the fort. I thought it was Fort Duquesne, but it turned out to be Fort Necessity.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, well, Fort Duquesne does factor into this because Washington was at the original Fort Duquesne battle. In 1758, this Alexander MacDonald, your 6th great-grandfather, was in a subsequent battle in Fort Duquesne.
Okay.
And it's where the British got rid of the French troops that were there. So the British basically took over Fort Duquesne, which was the French name, and they rebuilt the fort and made it into a British fort and called it Fort Pitt.
Okay.
And Fort Pitt is now Pittsburgh.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So your 6th great-grandfather was there. He was actually wounded in that battle in 1758 and had to leave the army for a while. He went back to New York as a merchant, and he was in New York with a family for many years, and he was a very active guy in the St. Andrew's Society in Manhattan. He lived mostly in Staten Island, but in Manhattan he was there a lot with his business. And he and hundreds of other Scotsmen had this association of Scotsmen who now lived in America. And then when the American Revolution broke out, he was on the side of the British because he'd been in the British Army earlier and quite loyal to the Crown. So he re-enlisted, and he was a lieutenant colonel, and they sent him to Halifax
Okay.
to help run the war effort from Halifax. He would find uniforms and boots and food and stuff for all the soldiers and get them rounded up and shipped off to Boston and shipped off to New York to fight for the British in the American Revolution. He eventually went back down to New York when it was still held by the British, grabbed his family, basically snuck them out of town, brought them all back to Halifax, and that's where they all were when the war ended. Then he moved over to the Miramichi, got some free land from the British, set himself up. There you are.
Interesting.
How cool is that?
Pretty cool.
So you have something to, a little tiny part of the history of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
It's a shame I don't like the Penguins.
It is. There.
Yeah, interesting.
Just something, nothing to do with hockey in a way.
I have news.
What's your news?
You already know about it, though.
Oh.
I had to go to Halifax this week for work. So I was drove there, was there for probably an hour and drove home. I stopped at Pro Hockey Life in Dartmouth, which is an awesome store. If you don't know what Pro Hockey Life is, go to prohockeylife.com. But their in-person store is incredible. Anyway, I got to see a lot of the new jerseys, like all the Washington Capitals third jersey this year that we like so much. It looks so great with the uniform. Got to see it actually in person for the first time. And
did it look as good in person?
Yeah, it looked way better in person. It was awesome. And so a lot of the other third jerseys and stuff too that I haven't seen in person yet, got to see those. It was pretty cool. I went to their clearance section. They had a bunch of Chicago jerseys on clearance and LA jerseys and a bunch of other stuff. But I left that store empty-handed. Yep.
Bulletin. Neil, post to post, walked out of a hockey store with nothing.
Yep. They didn't have anything that I felt was
Maybe it's
worthy.
because you have more in this room than they have in that whole store. Could that be it?
No. No, I was there looking for a Winnipeg jersey.
Oh, okay.
Still don't have one for a good deal. So
Did they have an Adidas at all of
Oh, yeah.
Winnipeg?
Yeah.
What do they want for them here in Canada?
200 without a name, 250 with a name, plus tax. So, and no thanks. It's not going to happen. Like, I'm not spending $250 on a jersey. It's just not. I don't have the money for that. So, anyways, I have been in contacts with certain people who work for certain people, and I may be hopefully getting some good prices on some jerseys soon. So,
Okay.
you never know. I might have some jerseys coming up for good prices. But yeah, I'll keep you guys updated. Keep you updated as well.
It's still nice to be in the store, though, isn't it? To walk
It is
around.
very nice to be in the store. I was actually looking at their stick section because I play hockey every second Sunday now. So every second Sunday morning. So I was looking at their sticks and stuff. So I almost actually bought a stick, but
I usually don't get the window shopping thing. Like sometimes your mother, we'll go to a big mall in Moncton or whatever, and she'll come out of the mall after 3 or 4 hours and got nothing. It's like, well, that was unproductive. Oh, no. I saw all kinds of things. I tried this on, tried that on, saw some stuff, but you didn't buy anything. Yeah, but that's not really the goal. It's all about being in there and the environment and the experience.
I guess, yeah.
And I share that a little bit when I go to my radio events, conventions. I'll go into a fancy ham radio store in Salem, New Hampshire, and I'll just see things and not necessarily buy anything. And there's a really cool store just outside Manchester on the Candia Road. It's called the Electronics Surplus Store.
okay.
All right. And you go into this store, and they've got rolls of wire. It's all old stuff. Some of it
Okay.
older than others, but they got rolls of wire. They got old chassis from radios. They've got little transistors. They've got connectors, wire, tubing, heat shrink stuff, soldering irons, all kinds of stuff. But the guy who runs the store has a really funny sense of humor. And he puts up all these signs, like wire, for instance. And it's a big roll of wire, maybe this big around.
Mm-hmm.
And you buy it by weight. Like there's no point trying to figure out how much wire's on that roll. There might be half a mile of wire in that roll. And you can't just string it all out on the floor and measure it.
That's right.
So you're not going to sell it by the foot. You're going to sell it by the pound. So the sign says, we sell all wire by the pound.
The accent comes with the sign?
Yes.
Okay.
If you want it by the foot, it's going to work like this. This wire is $2 a pound or $2 a foot. It's up to you. Like, we'll sell it by the foot. And then they have things like they might have 27 boxes of wall warts, like power supplies.
Okay, yeah.
But they'll have one out of the box and hanging with a sign on it that says fondling sample.
I like that one.
In other words, don't undo any more boxes here. Look here, that's a fondling sample. That's the one you get. You can
That's
play
awesome.
with that one, but buy the other one. Right? So they take out a fondling sample of everything for you to fondle, so you don't tear up the packaging and everything else.
That's awesome. I love that.
Really good signs. The whole store is full of signs like that. They're really funny.
Is that the one you got your T-shirt from?
No, that's not. I got the T-shirt right at the flea market itself from a booth that was there. Yeah, but don't have that on today.
Yeah.
No.
Well, you can wear it sometimes. It's not appropriate enough to say, but maybe you can wear it some episode and people can read it on your shirt. And
Well, if it's probably not appropriate enough to say, it's likely not appropriate enough to have on my shirt.
yeah, I guess.
But it's all about building an antenna on a Sunday.
Mm.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll leave it at that.
The people aren't going to get that, though.
I know.
It's a very guy-specific thing.
When you build something, you...
It's... Anyways.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching and listening, guys. I appreciate it. If you're watching on YouTube, hope you can hit the subscribe button if you're not already. Like the video and leave us a review on iTunes or Google Play Music, whichever you are listening on, or any podcatcher app, whatever you use. Really, really appreciate you guys coming back and listening and watching each and every week. And I do apologize that this specific podcast was a little shorter than normal, but I think you'll benefit because we have 9 videos total to release in the next week or week and a half. So yeah, we'll see you in those and hope you're having a good weekend. Adios.